What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today I want to talk a little bit about free agency, right? Not necessarily guys that we're going to be targeting from other teams, because listen, that starts in March with a new league year, and we are probably going to be active. The Jets have $95+ million of cap space, right? So we are going to probably make some moves to add to this roster. I have been talking about how another year of team building, culture building, skill building with Aaron Glenn, but also roster building and identifying talent by Darren Mougey is going to be key. And thank you to everybody who has been with me since about a year, where we took our first bite at the apple with Glenn and Mougey in the draft and in free agency. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. Over 2,600 of you watch these videos, like these videos, and tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. But first, what I thought was interesting was kind of at the end of the year interviews last week, Darren Mougey expressed confidence, really thought that he and Aaron Glenn have learned a lot, and that they have the assets, the capital, and the wherewithal to be a lot more competitive soon, next year in 2026. Listen to what Mougey had to say. He goes, I believe we can be competitive and respectable right away next year. I've been here a year. I learned a lot. I've got a clear vision with the assets we have moving forward, the draft capital, the cap space. I know we're going to continue to build and add good players to the team that are going to help us win. And remember, if you haven't kind of heard already or not part of Jets Latest all the time, we have 4 of the top 44 picks. Number 2, number 16, number 33. That I think is an interesting leverage point, not only to get a possible best player available that should really be a first round talent, but to potentially to even trade down just like 3 or 4 spots and still get a guy at a position we like guard or safety. And I mentioned guard or safety ironically because we're going to be talking about that in this episode. And then number 44. And we have 95+ million of cap space. And here's the thing. I believe in Darren Mougey. I think Darren Mougey has done well so far. I like the draft he had in 2025. I think Membu, Mason Taylor, A.Z. Thomas, Malachi Moore, even Kiko Mauinoa to a certain extent are guys that are going to be on this roster and play roles for us. Some of them playing key roles when you think about a Membu, a Taylor, an A.Z. Thomas, and potentially a Malachi Moore as well. I like what he did in free agency, bringing guys like McNamara, our punter that was a stud, Brandon Stevens, and others on that actually I think played well for us. And also I think Mougey did a great job in the trade market. And that's what I want to remind people, because it may not even look complete after the draft and after free agency. Think about this. He added Harrison Phillips and Jawan Briggs in the interior defensive line via trade. He added Brownlee, who's going to be our slot corner. He added options like Mitchell and Mechie, who I think are going to be our wide receivers 3 and 4 next year. So I believe in Darren Mougey. I want to give him another chance. I mentioned that at 33 and 44, I think guard and I think safety are definitely in play for the Jets in the draft. But the interesting part is that free agency comes before the draft. So what we do in free agency will be a tell. I believe it's edge rusher, D-line stud at number 2, maybe a Ruben Bain. I believe at number 16, I'm intrigued by Makai Lemon, a wide receiver out of USC, maybe other wide receivers that will still be there. A guy like Jordan Tyson might still be there, although doubtful, but I think Lemon would be a great add. Our wide receiver 2 is the pick there, and I really identify guard and safety as other spots. But let's see what we do in free agency, especially in terms of maybe bringing back some of our own. And that's what I want to talk about. Not only does Mougey believe that we could be competitive right away, so does John Simpson, who is our guard, who is going to be a free agent. John Simpson said he wants to come back to the Jets. He said it would actually, quote unquote, be an honor to return to the Jets. He said, the message here is clear. I want to be part of something like that. I want to help this program get on its feet. That's the reason they brought me here in the first place. Obviously, we haven't been able to do that yet, but I do see that this thing is going to take off here soon, and I want to be a part of something like that. Remember, we've got our bookend tackles in Fashanu and Membu. We've got Tippmann, who is really good, was a center, showed that he could play guard and do that well. He gives us some interior offensive line flexibility. Simpson and AVT, Elijah Vera Tucker, are going to be free agents this year, right? So we also have Myers, who we re-signed but can be kind of a backup interior offensive lineman at center if we need to move Tippmann to guard. That gives us some flexibility. I think what's going to happen here is Simpson or AVT is going to be re-signed by the Jets. AVT, I think, is going to cost a lot more money, although there is the injury history with AVT, so that may be able to get a discount. Simpson, I think Simpson was good, above average, not elite like Membo and Fashanu or even Tippmann, but he certainly is serviceable. And if he's back as one of our guards, I would think that is okay. The other part, I think he's going to be more reasonable financially if we want to splurge elsewhere. But as I've said, I also think 33, 44 guard is a position we could draft. And the fact that we don't need tackle, but we need guard actually means, the tackles go top 10. The tackles go top 15. You hear about the tackles. Many years, the best interior offensive lineman is drafted late in the first round, early in the second round. So there is a chance, and I've got some guys that we're going to talk about later on in the week that could be targets for the Jets if, in fact, guard is a need area. I think that creates a lot of leverage. I think the fact that we have Tippmann who can play wherever if we use Myers. I think the fact that Simpson and AVT could come back creates leverage. I think the fact that we have this draft capital to go ahead and draft a guard interior offensive lineman creates some leverage. So Simpson saying he wants to come back is pretty interesting. Haven't heard much from AVT recently, but I do think if Simpson comes back, that would be fine and serviceable for us. Simpson also something of a veteran, something having a nasty streak, and you like that in your guard. Especially, listen, if it winds up being Tippmann at center, our bookend stud tackles, John Simpson, and the number 33 overall pick, I think we are still primed to maintain our above average young offensive line, and that means Myers is a backup where we need it, right? Or if it's not Simpson and if it's AVT and then number 33 overall, that is something good. So I do think we're going to spend some money either on Simpson or AVT and bring one, if not both of them back, probably one of them back. So it's interesting to see that on offense, outside of Breece Hall, I think that is an important sport to watch the guards. On defense, I talked about Quincy Williams. I think him and Sherwood are still an interesting combo. But the defensive free agent that we may want to bring back, this is not going to be as exciting to most people. Some people may disagree. But one guy that we didn't get a real full look at is Andre Cisco. But Andre Cisco is singing a different tune than John Simpson. Cisco, by the way, played in only 8 games, okay? He had 41 tackles. He is one of only two Jets defenders that actually had a turnover, okay? Malachi Moore had a fumble, and also Cisco recovered a fumble week 6 in the London game, okay? Part of the reason we didn't get any interceptions all season long was because Cisco wasn't there. Cisco is known more of a coverage, free center field, ball hawking kind of safety going end to end. Him not being there for the second half of the year, I do think impacted our lack of interceptions. I really do. Cisco is a guy who can get some interceptions. Now, I'm not saying Cisco is a Pro Bowler, but he is someone we identified and someone who does have talent, okay? But listen to what he had to say about wanting to come back. He goes, "The safe thing to say is I'd love to be back, but I'm going into year 6, and I'm not where I want to be at just yet." Here's what I think is important about Cisco in the safety position, okay? I think Cisco is better than Adams, who is also a free agent. So if we're going to bring either one of them back, I think it should be Cisco. Cisco, coming off an injury, could be a discount on the market, may not have as many suitors. I think Cisco is a quality NFL caliber safety, especially at that free safety, sideline to sideline coverage safety. Here's the other thing. At that position, we are young. We have Malachi Moore. I've identified safety as a need. I think it could be 33 or 44 draft pick where we get a safety, but that would leave us with a rookie and Malachi Moore. I think we need to bring back some level of veteran experience at the safety position. Just like I said, we got to bring back either Simpson or AVT for the guard to add with a rookie. I think we need to bring back Cisco or Adams as a veteran presence to add to Malachi Moore and what I think is a second round draft pick rookie, right? Could we get others out there on the free agency market? Maybe, but Cisco is a guy that was identified, that likes Aaron Glenn, that Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey saw something in, and quite frankly, I would be okay with bringing Cisco back, especially if it's at a reduced rate because of the fact that he was injured for most of last year, right? I'm willing, and I think we need to mix some of the experience he has. Like he said, he's into year 6 with what I think is going to be youth at the position with Malachi Moore, and in my opinion, a second round draft pick. So Cisco is a name to watch because if it's not him, I do think we're going to go out in the market and add another veteran safety, maybe even splurge. That may be at the top of the top of the menu, top of the price chart. And if it is, remember, this is a tell for what we are prioritizing in the NFL draft. If we go out and sign the top safety on the market, maybe we're not drafting a safety. If we go and bring back an Andre Cisco, bring back an Adams, bring back a mid-level veteran safety, in my opinion, that means number 33 or number 44 is a safety, or even the idea that hoping with one of our top picks, a guy like Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State, who is potentially a top 5, top 10 pick, could be a target for us all the way as up as number 2, which may be some moving and shaking there. So I think Cisco is an interesting domino to watch. Personally, I think if it's Andre Cisco, Malachi Moore, and number 44 or number 33 overall, that might be okay, along with just some depth in the back end of that. So that's what I got to say today on Jets' latest. Mougey is confident. The question is, which of our even internal free agents are? It looks like Simpson wants to be back. Cisco has some small uncertainty. Guard and safety are going to be very interesting positions to watch. I know we all talk about the quarterback. I know we all want a wide receiver. I think we're getting one at number 16 overall. I know we talk about the pass rush, right? But guard and safety, and specifically what we do in free agency, are going to be tells about what level of priority they are for us in the draft. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember, thank you to everybody helping me grow this channel. We're up over 2,600 subscribers. Thank you to everyone watching these videos, liking these videos. Engage in the comments and tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. Speaking of the comments, you know I love to read those out here on Jets Latest. Let's see what you guys have to say. Game Master NR9EQ says, not bad analysis. I would say on the off chance the Raiders take more, that we would get Mendoza. Listen, based on the semifinal that Moore had, I don't know. He may be just going back to school. I don't know if he's going to be a target. The Raiders are taking Mendoza. If we don't go quarterback in the top 44, I think they still grab a late round quarterback as a dart throw before 27 to see if he sticks. I'm not mad at that. I'm talking about, I don't think we're using quarterback in those top 4 picks. We have like 103 and on and on and on, right? If we want to take a developmental quarterback there to groom, that's okay. If we want to trade a 5th round draft pick, a 4th round draft pick for a Shedeur Sanders, I'm okay with that, right? But that's a non-starter developmental kind of thing. I think ultimately the starters, again, are the Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones archetype that are going to be out there to stabilize as we build around the roster for whoever the new franchise quarterback is, which I think we're drafting in 2027, paging Arch Manning. But I digress. We've got Hoo 9080 D4M says, thank you, man. Someone with a brain, finally. Hopefully they get a wide receiver in the draft. I think wide receiver is going to be our target area for the number 16 overall pick, our second of our first round picks. Lemon out of USC is a guy that I really, really think could be a good fit. There's about 4 first round wide receiver talent. The wide receiver out of Ohio State, Lake is one. Jordan Tyson is one out of, I think, Arizona State. But the guy I'm zoning in on is from USC, Mekhi Lemon. We'll talk more about him in the episodes to come. And then Old Dave, one of our Jets latest regulars to be sure, Old Dave 1000 says, regardless of this choice, the team does definitely have options. We do have options. 2, 16, 33, and 44. We will talk about that. But remember, free agency comes first. So let's see what we do with some of our own. Obviously, Breece Hall is the big one, re-sign, potentially franchise. But I do really believe that outside of the Breece Hall question, guard, AVT Simpson or elsewhere, safety, Cisco or elsewhere, and then the idea of Quincy Williams, and if we're pairing him with Sherwood, these kind of speed backers is our preference. And what we do there will leave the priorities remaining for the NFL draft. Remember, if you want to hear more from me, spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am also the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, the fantasy channel number 87. Just because we're in the NFL playoffs doesn't mean there isn't fantasy opportunities to win your leagues and win that cash. I'm also a host on Sports Grid of In Game Live. If you're into sports betting, I've got you. But engage with me on social media at Spittin' Speeds. And if you just want the green and white, I'm here all the time giving you the real on Jets Latest. Tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. But for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here. Peace.